Maybe there's one on the.
Yeah.
Just get up.
Okay.
So these may be smaller. Yeah, these are 6 by 6. Those are 8 by 8.
Yeah. So we'll use these ones.
Yeah.
How many do I need?
I don't know. We'll see. It's fair.
All right, I'm gonna let everybody kind of hop on here just another minute and let people in from our waiting room. If you have a friend who's trying to get on and they can't get on, or if you lose your connection to Zoom, you can always hop over on YouTube Live. But welcome to our craft we have today of the origami flowers. That's what we're here for right now. So if that's what you're hoping to make, that's what's happening. Before we get started, I am going to go over some hot tech tips. And while I go over that, if you guys want to introduce yourselves and let me know where you're joining us from to craft with today, and if you've done origami before. So if you want to practice the chat, it's in the bottom middle of your screen. There's like a little speech bubble. If you click on that, you can type in the chat. So if you want to let us know where you're joining us from, and if you've done origami before, that would be awesome. If you guys are not familiar with Zoom, I'll just give you a few tips. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little view button. If you click on the view button, it has a drop down, or it might have 2 little icons for you. There's speaker and gallery view. So if you want to see everybody who's in the class, you can hit the speaker or the gallery view. And if you just want to see the speaker, you can do speaker view. And I'll spotlight the instructor's video so that you'll be able to see everything that she's doing. No problem. And then in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, there's the unmute button. So if you click on that microphone, you'll be able to mute yourself if you're making noises and that type of thing, or you can unmute yourself if you've got a question and let us know what that question is. You can also type in the chat, and I'll be watching that during the class. So feel free to type in the chat and I'll ask those questions for you guys. And then next to the microphone is your video. You can start and stop your video at any time. We'd love to see your beautiful face crafting with us today, but you're welcome to leave your camera off. You can also turn it on at the end of the class and show us your creations, because I'm sure everyone would love to see how everyone's projects turns out. I'm interested in seeing that anyways. And then this video is recorded and will be live on YouTube right now. So if you want to see it in the future, if you are like, how did we do that project? You can refer back to that link there. So without further ado, Chelsea is our instructor today. So I am going to spotlight her video. This is Chelsea. She is from the Plains Art Museum, and she's going to teach us some quality paper craft today. And showing you how to fold the paper into really pretty flowers, and you can make into a garland for all your spring fun decor. So I'll turn it over to you, Chelsea. Thank you for joining us today. Let's see.
I might have lost everyone's connection. Or
Oh,
still
there you're back. There you're back. Okay.
Oh, sorry about that. I was wondering where everyone went.
You're back. All right. We'll let you take it from here. Thanks, Chelsea.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea Steffes. I'm a teaching artist at the Plains Art Museum, like how I was introduced. Thank you very much for that awesome introduction. Today, we're going to get to make some origami flower garlands, and we have 2 types of flowers that we're folding today. We'll do a classic lily like this. This one's easier to see. It's nice and long. It's got these nice curls. And we'll also do this 4-pointed or 4-petaled flower like this. It's a bit smaller, and it's also nice and curled. just to introduce our supplies, to make sure that you have your supplies with you, I have a pencil. The pencil is really good because that's how you get these nice curls on the petals. You can just, when we get to that step, we can just wrap it around the pencil and then give it a nice little curl, kind of like a curling iron with your hair. I also have this piece of twine that I'm going to use to string my flowers on. And I actually didn't have a needle, so I took a toothpick and I taped it to the twine, and that actually works too. I have this origami paper that's got a pattern and blank on the front. You can use whatever paper as long as it's a square and a size that you're comfortable using. This is like a standard 6-inch. The smaller that you get, the smaller your pieces are going to be. So make sure, again, you're using one that's comfortable with you. Yeah, so make sure you have all your supplies ready. We'll give everyone a minute just to do that. And while we get started, I'll start showing you how to do the flowers. We only have an hour and we only have 2 flowers, and it's not too much, but I will try to show each flower twice, and I'll try to go slowly. If you need me to slow down anymore, if you have any questions, make sure that you just shout that out in the chat so that way we know, and I can try to repeat a step or show you or try to help you as needed. So moving my camera down to my workspace over here, I have my square piece of paper. To make a lily, the first thing I'm going to need you to do is fold it in half in every direction. So diagonally, both sides, and horizontally and vertically on both sides. So fold that in half in every direction and make sure you crease it really well. The thing I like to do before I actually crease it is I'll fold it just really gently and softly, just like a very soft fold. And then once I'm like, okay, yeah, that's lined up nicely, I feel confident, then I'll take my fingernails and I'll crease it. If you don't have any fingernails to crease with, it's nice to have something with a hard edge, like a popsicle stick or a spoon, or even like your phone you could use. Just because the nicer you crease, the nicer these lines are going to show up, and it's going to be a lot easier for folding when we do that. So let's get some nice folds in there. Again, making sure that you're creasing well and doing it from every side. Gotta say that this is the easiest part of starting some origami. Just folding, most folds will have you fold and crease in half on every side. Once you have that all folded up and you have your nice creases, the next step we're going to need to do is we're going to need to fold it into a triangle base to make our flower. So like I said, again, if I'm moving too fast, just let me know. I will also be doing this step again. So if you feel like you're getting lost at any point, just make sure you remember I will be teaching the lily again. We'll be doing it twice in a row. So we need to fold all of our paper onto this triangle down here that we have made with our crease. The way that we're going to do that is you'll lift it, you'll push down these parts and you'll lift up the back. And I want you to put one side flat alongside the middle of the crease, one side that's flat, and do that with the other side as well along the middle of the crease. You kind of have it weirdly tall here, and then you'll slowly squash it down like so, making sure that all your creases line up. And then we have a nice triangle that we've made. And then you'll see that the inside looks like this. So showing it again. From our square, we're going to fold it into a triangle along these edges, holding it flat on the front and lifting up from the back using our thumbs. We're going to lift up the side, put it down flat, stopping alongside this middle crease, and we'll repeat that on the other side, stopping along the middle crease, and then this part on top, we're just going to squash right down, creating this triangle shape and the inside will look like so. Moving on from this step, we need to, and just watch me first, we need to squash some of these folds into a diamond shape. So the way that we're going to do that is you'll just lift up one of your flaps on the side, hold it kind of in the middle, and then you'll see I kind of open it up. The trick is that we want to open it up so that this crease, this line right here, would be in the center of the triangle. So we don't want to open it like this or like that. We want it so that's kind of in the center and that's still symmetrical. And once you have that lined up in the center, just very gently squash it down flat. And you kind of have like this oblong diamond shape that you get. And make sure you crease that down like so. To repeat this step again, after we have our triangle shape over here, we're going to lift up one of our flaps so that it's in the center of the triangle. And we're going to take our flap, open it up a little bit, and smush it down so that the line meets the center of the triangle and crease it down. And this is a step that we're going to repeat on every part of our triangle, which, and just as a reminder, if anyone got lost on how we did the triangle, we started from our square, moved our pieces up to the middle, like so, and then we squished our triangle down. We're lifting up the side flap towards the center, and we're going to gently squish it down so that this crease is in the center. If this helps to know, this line right here that's on the side is the one that goes and meets in the center, like so, and that it is even and symmetrical the entire way. Like I said, we're going to repeat this on all of our flaps, so you can flip it over and do it on the next flap. We're going to open it up a little bit. Make sure it's open all the way even to this tip, nice and even. And we're going to have this center line remain in the center. And crease it down nice and flat, like so. To do these side flaps, what you'll do is just fold this over, lift up the next side, bring it to the center. And this one is actually a lot easier because you'll notice that it's going to line up with this diamond shape that we've already made with the previous two. Take that and fold it flat. Do the last one. Again, lifting up our side flap, taking it and smushing it down into our center. And then you want to make sure after you're done with that, that you have an even amount of flaps on the side. So not just 3 flaps on one side and then just 2 flaps on the one. We just want to flip it over and make sure we have 3 flaps on one side and 3 flaps on the other side. Actually 4 flaps on each side. I got mine a little mixed up. So 4 flaps, nice and even and symmetrical. And this is kind of what it looks like on the inside if you're able to see, if that is helpful. So after we had gotten all of our sides squashed down into the center, again, we're just making sure that our piece is symmetrical again and that we don't have an uneven amount of flaps on one side versus the other, like so. We want to make sure our flaps are evenly distributed like this. What's really helpful to note is that if you're using paper like mine that's got 2 different colors, then you'll know that this triangle, the smaller triangle, is a different color than this one. So
Someone was just asking.
Moving on to the next part of our steps.
Hey, Chelsea, someone was wondering after the squash fold what you did.
Okay, I'll move back to the squash fold. So after the squash fold, just give me a second to rearrange my paper into that position. Okay, so after the squash fold, when we lifted it and we squashed, we need to repeat this step on all of our other flaps. So we have 1, 2, 3 more flaps, and we need to lift that up and repeat that. Move your flap to the side, lift that up, repeat. Lift that up, repeat. And then we also want to make sure that when we are working with our origami that we don't just have all of our flaps on one side. We want to have our flaps evenly distributed, like so. Just for the sake of time, if you are still lost, I would recommend just trying to keep up as much as you can, but I can only repeat the steps so many times else we won't have time to do our other flower. So I'm just gonna move forward from now, and if you're lost now, just wait until the next time I try to teach the lily. So the next thing we need to do is we need to be able to open up our lily. So we're gonna take this smaller corner, this smaller side of our diamond shape. We need to fold this towards the center of our origami, like so. So we're lifting up this flap right here, and we're folding it towards the center, and we're creasing it down. And you'll notice that when we do that, it makes a sort of diamond shape. What we would need to do is fold these flaps in towards the center line on every single side. So flipping it over and showing it again, I'm gonna lift up these flaps, this flap like so, and fold it towards the center line, like so. Lifting up this flap and folding it towards the center line. Continue folding with our lily. And again, I'm showing you the step again. And because this is a step that we'll repeat so often, it's easier for me to show it again. For our lily, we need to lift up this flap and fold it towards the center line, like so. And we need to make sure that we're doing this on every single step. So we're lifting up this flap and folding it towards the center line, just like that. I'll show it again. And reminder, we're doing this on all of our flaps that we have here. We're lifting up the side and we're folding it towards the center line, like so. Lifting up this flap and folding it towards the center line and creasing it down, like so. And that by the time that you've done it all on every single side, you should have a diamond shape, like what I have here. After you've completed your diamond shape, take this top tip and I want you to fold it in half, like so, and then unfold it. So that we're just making a crease on that spot. Showing it again, we're lifting up this top half of our diamond shape and folding it down onto the bottom half of our diamond. If anyone needed this step shown to us again, reminder, we're lifting up this side flap and we're taking the side flap and we're folding it towards the center line, like so. Lifting up the side flap and folding it towards the center line. And folding in half to make a crease. After we've done this, what we need to do is we're going to open up the flower, and I'll show you all. We're going to open up our flaps again. And the interesting thing you'll see is that we've got a crease along this line, and along that line. We have 3 different creases. And just watch me very carefully first, because this step is the more difficult step, but it is one of our last steps. We've only got 2 more after this. Is we're going to lift up this, and you see where the creases are along this side in here. We're going to actually lift it up and fold this little part in along the creases that we've made, so that it goes from sitting out like this to being pushed inside like that. And when you push it inside, you'll see that this part goes up. It's like we're making a little diamond, like so. To repeat it again, we're taking our flaps, opening them back up, and we're gonna fold along these creases that we created. So we're lifting it up and folding it inside and squashing it flat up. And so that we make this new diamond shape with this triangle-like flap on the top. We're going to need to do this on every side where we folded the flaps in, so I will show this again. Open it up. We're folding alongside this crease. Lift it up. Flatten it. Lift it up and flatten it. And then we'll have a little diamond, a little triangle at the top that we flatten out like so. So that you'll notice from the side is that we're getting like this diamond that's got this sort of little bumpy part that's standing up. We're going to open it up from the middle so we can do our other flaps. Open our flaps back up, lift it up, fold them inside like so, in our triangle up here. Showing it one more time and then we'll move on. Opening it up, lifting up this flap, folding it inside like so, and up. Give everyone a moment to finish up with that step. So, your finished product should be looking like this, where you have almost like these little legs that kind of wiggle back and forth, this flappy bit that's kind of sticking up, and then the part at the top where they're all connected, like so. We only have 2 more steps left. And just for the sake of time, I am going to move forward. So we're going to take not the part with the little flappy legs, but the part where they're all kind of connected at the top. I want you to take this side and we're gonna fold it towards the center, like so. So we're going to be lifting up this side right here, on the side where they're all connected, not the part where it's like little legs. And we're going to lift it up. And we're going to fold it towards the center. And to show you up close, you'll see that after we do this step, it's like we have a smaller, skinnier kite shape on top of here. We'll show it again because it's something that we're going to repeat on each side. Lift up this line right here and fold it towards the center. Lift it up and open and shut and fold it along this side. Showing it again because we're going to want to do on every side. We're going to take this side right here at the part where it's connected, not the little walking leg parts, and we're going to fold it towards the center. Like so. Lifting it up and folding it towards the center, like so. Showing it one more time. We're going to lift it up on the sides and fold it in towards the center. Lift it up on the side and fold it in towards the center, like so. And by the end of it, you'll have this kite that's really skinny on the bottom and long and kind of shorter on the top. The final step after this part, if everyone is ready to move on, just for the sake of time, I will move forward, and if you still need a minute, that's okay. The final step is we have to take these parts up here and turn them into our petals that are curled. So the thing that we're going to do is you'll open it up a little bit and you'll see when you open it up, there's this triangle up here. Take a pencil and wrap it like you're curling hair almost. Wrap it along this pencil, hold it for a few seconds, and you have a curled petal. Showing it again, going to open up our flap a little bit so we can get one of these triangles. Curling it back, like so. It gets kind of curled, like a petal. You'll notice that you might accidentally fold one of your petals back in. If that happens, just open it back up and curl it again. Rotating sides, take one of these flaps and open it up. Curl it on a pencil. Kind of hold it for a second like you would with a curling iron, and you have a curled flap like so. Make sure you curl it really well, because if you notice your piece is kind of going back up on itself, then it's because you need to curl the petals more, like what I'm having happen to me. And then at the end of all of your curling, you have a lily. Some petals may need to be curled more than others. Sometimes they'll flip up, but this is how you make a lily, like all these other ones that I have shown you. So just to check in where everyone is at, we have half an hour left in this class, and that did take a little bit longer than I expected. We do have a really large class. That was a lot of me repeating steps. Do we want to do a lily again, or do we want to do this smaller flower? If everyone could just comment what you'd rather move on to do. If we do the lily, we won't really have any time for the smaller flower. So let's just to see where everyone is at.
Looks like a lot of the small flower, the second kind.
All right, so let's do the smaller flower. So moving my camera back down so you can watch my paper. So for the smaller flower, just like what we did with the lily, you need to fold it in half in every direction, making sure that you're taking time to crease it well. So please take a new piece of paper and fold it in half on every direction. After you fold it in half diagonally, make sure you're also folding it in half vertically and horizontally. So fold it in half in every direction and make sure you crease really well, so that way we have lines that you can see in your paper going vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. The next step after this, and I'll move this a little bit faster just that way I have more time later for questions, and then also so I can still show you how to string it onto our paper, is we need to make a square base. So what's going to be a square using one of these corners, so kind of like a diamond square. It's square shaped, but it's like a diamond because it's at an angle. Similar to what we did with the lily, we're going to lift up the sides and we're going to fold it in alongside that center line. So showing you again, we're lifting up the sides and we're folding it inside along that center line, like so. This time to make a square shape rather than a triangle. So folding it inside along that center line, and it'll kind of look like this. I'll show it one more time. We're going to lift up our sides and fold it along that center line on the inside, on either side, to make a square base. Square bases are really common in origami. If you're making a crane, you would also be using a square base. And actually with this fold, we'll be making a bird base, which is another essential part of making a paper crane. After you fold it in along the sides, what we're going to do is we're going to take their sides, and a reminder that this is going to be where the open part is facing away, and then the pointed part is facing towards me, the part where it all connects. With the open part facing away from you, we're going to lift up this side, and we're going to fold this side towards the center. Again, we're lifting up this side flap, and we're going to fold it towards the center line. And make sure you crease it nice and good. And we're going to do that on each side, so flipping it over and showing it again. We're going to lift up this side flap along this line, reminder, and the open part is facing away from you, whereas the part where it's all connected is facing towards you. We're going to lift it up and fold this line towards the center, increasing it nice and well. One more time, lifting up this side, increasing it towards the center. So that at the end, you have a kite shape again. After you finish your kite shape, just take this triangle that you have up top, briefly fold it down, make a crease, and fold it back up. Again, after you finish your kite shape that we have here, take this upper triangle that we have and fold it down, briefly make a crease and fold it back up. Into the center to turn it from a square shape into a kite shape. So similar to what we did with the lily, we're going to need to open this up so that way we can kind of fold it outward. And this is actually how you would make a bird base, which is a term for the base of a crane, which is common in other origami folds as well. So we're going to open up these flaps. And the reason why we folded this one down was to make a little crease so it's easier. You'll notice that we have a crease along this side, up here, and up here, like a triangle shaped crease. We're going to lift it up and open it. We're going to take these flaps and push them down like so, and these ones straighten up like this. So we have a diamond. To demonstrate that again, we're going to open up our flaps, making sure that we have nice good creases along this triangle portion. Lifting it up like so. And we're going to fold these lines inside. Like that. So we have this diamond shape that's more open on one side, but it's got like these legs in the front. This is what our shape looks like. Just as a repeat again, in case anyone missed that. So what we're doing is we're taking our flaps. When they were previously closed, we're opening them up. We're lifting them up and we're folding it in along our creases like so. And then by doing so, you'll actually have this diamond shaped base that is actually a bird base that you would have when you're making a crane. Take your origami and flip it over so that your parts that are like legs are facing towards you now, and the part with this little triangle is facing away. This next step is pretty simple. Well, it's pretty simple in that it's not as complex as the lily. We're going to take this line, or this flap, and we're going to fold it along this center line in here. So we're going to take this side of it and fold it along the center line. Like so, but we're not going to crease it completely. We're going to crease. We're not going to crease it completely. We're going to crease in a very particular way. You see where this point is, this center part? We're only going to crease it from the center part down. So we're only going to partially crease this fold down from the center part. And that's where we stop. So that's only, you'll see it's creased here, but it's smooth here. And you'll do that on the other side too. So you're going to take the flap, fold it along the center, and then when we crease it, we're only creasing from the center part down. So then you'll notice that there's kind of like this triangle shaped crease that we've made. The reason why we crease it like this is so that we can take these two parts and actually fold it in on itself to make this flap, this skinny flap that we'll put to the side. And these skinny flaps that we put to the side are what becomes the petals of this flower. Showing it again, we're going to take this larger flap right here, and we're going to fold it along our center line, but we're only going to crease it from the center down, leaving a portion of it that is uncreased. Again, we're going to take this big flap here, fold it along the center line, only crease it from the center down so that it's created this triangle-like crease. And then you can bring your flaps up like so. And bring it to the side to make this pointy, skinny flap. Your origami will kind of be shaped like this. To continue on, we're going to open it up so that we can get to the other sides that we didn't do. So open up your shape so we can get to this other flap down here. We're going to do this one a little differently. So you're going to just lift up this flap, fold it up. So that's up, and now this is acting as our upper flap that we were just folding. So we'll bring it towards the center, like what we were doing before, and only crease it from the center down. Once again, we're lifting it up and folding it towards the center and only creasing it from the center downwards so that we create a triangle-like crease on this flap, and so that we are able to take it and then push it together and make this longer, skinnier flap that we can just put to the side. Showing it again, on our last side, we're going to take this bottom flap, push it up like so, and we're going to fold this line towards the center, but only creasing from the center down so that it's not fully creased. Again, we're folding it down towards the center and only creasing it from the center down so it's not fully creased. And then we can fold it together to make a little flap like so. And so that we have these skinny flaps, long skinny flaps for them on each side. And then we have these short stubby flaps for them on each side. I'll show it one more time before I move on to the final step after this. So making sure that you have this upper triangle that's facing away from you. You're going to take the side and fold it towards the center line, towards this line. You're only going to crease it from the middle downwards, like so. And then you will unfold it and repeat that step on the other side, taking this side, and you're going to fold it towards the center and only creasing it from the center portion downwards. And then when you've creased it on both sides and you've made this triangle shaped crease, you can bring your two sides together and both push them down, and you make this longer, skinnier flap, like so. The final step to make this from this flat triangle thing into a flower is taking these longer flaps that we had here. We're going to open them up. Ignore your short stubby flaps, but just take the longer ones and kind of open them up like so. And you'll see how it's kind of petal shaped. We're going to take a pencil and curl it open, holding it down for a few seconds, just like if you had a curling iron. And then we have our petals. And you can do that on each side that you have a long flap, only with the long flaps, not with the short ones. So we're going to identify one of our long flaps, take our thumb and open it up. Take a pencil, wrap around the pencil, hold it for a few seconds, and we have a petal like so. Doing that with each of our long flaps, not the short ones.
Someone asked if there's a name for this flower.
Taking a pencil and curling it down. So you have this small flower with kind of like a plus sign in the center from these little flaps and these little petals that we have here. So since we have about 12 minutes left, I will just move on to our last step. If you're still working on your petals or some flowers, that's okay. This is a recorded video, so I'm sure you could probably look at it again. But just to show our last step, just so we're not too rushed in the end, I have my string. I'm using some twine that I have attached to a toothpick because I didn't have a needle. And if you want to make this into a garland, you have a couple different ways you can do it. What you could do is you could take your flowers and you could do it like a vertical garland where you could stick it through the center, poke a little hole through, and have like these garland where it's kind of coming down like an umbrella. Or if you didn't want to do that, you could take a flower and you could put it through this portion at the top, poke a little hole through. Be very careful when you do that so you don't rip too much of it. And make sure you leave it a good amount of space up here so you don't rip it through. And then you can have it hanging like this, hanging down. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You can alternate between lilies. Again, you could either go through it if you wanted to have it long and kind of like an umbrella, or if you wanted it more like a curtain, just poke a hole in the end, like so. And you can have your hanging flowers. You can put them in any pattern you want. You can use just like one specific flower or not a specific flower. And there's lots of different options for how you can customize this. In this last 10 minutes, do we have any questions for me? Do we have any last questions for this last 10 minutes? I see in the chat, someone asked if the smaller flower has a name. I don't know if it has a name. I just looked up 4-petal flower, origami flower, 4-petal origami flower, and it came up, and I just clicked on an image that had the same instructions. I learned this one just very randomly, so I don't know its name. So when I was looking up some instructions to review before this, I just looked up 4-petal flower. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to share, and I'll do my best to answer in this last 10 minutes we have here. As for paper, I recommend, I like to use I don't know too much about the intricacies of paper, but I just like to buy ones that have patterns on it just because I like that they're pretty. And they tend to have like a colored backside and then like a patterned front side. And then it's kind of nice so that way when you are watching tutorials or you're learning how to do it, you always know which one is your back and which one is your front. And so you can control what it looks like. The pipe cleaners were if you wanted to make stems for your flowers instead of making it a garland, or if you wanted to decorate the string of the garland if you wanted to. So it's kind of like an optional supply. Mary, for your question for the smaller one on how to go from the diamond part again on how you got to the petals, I would maybe check out this link that Drace had sent in the link, and that will show you, just because I don't think we have enough time for me to completely refold it and show you again. So I would check out that link and it will show you how to get there. If you want to do a lot of origami, there's a lot of different tutorials and a lot of like really creative things people have made that you can do a lot of fun stuff with. There's always this fun lily that we've done. I got started by folding little origami lucky stars that I would do in my college classes that I could keep my hands busy when I wasn't taking notes. And it was a fun way to stay active, and it's a fun way to practice mindfulness where you're just focused on what are the steps and what you're doing. Marlana asked, is there a paper that absolutely doesn't work? I guess maybe one that's too thick or too thin, one that would rip too easily or would be too difficult to fold for you. It's kind of just like what you practice and what you use and what you're used to using. So if you're using like a really delicate tissue paper, that could be more difficult because it might not hold a shape very well and it might rip. And again, if you're using one that's too thick, it might be too hard to fold it into place, especially for more complex ones. I've never tried using magazine pages, but I'm sure that would be a great idea. It would be a similar thickness to the paper that I have here. You could even just use plain old copy paper if you wanted to.
If anyone wants to show off their flowers that they made too, I just made them out of the map paper that we have here at West Acres. If you guys are in town here in Fargo, we have all kinds of makers throughout the entire West Acres Mall that you can come check out and get crafty with us this weekend. Ooh, awesome flowers, and love seeing these in the gallery view. And then on Sunday, tomorrow, we'll have our virtual makers market that you can check out. I saw people from all over the country tuned in today to make these flowers with you, Chelsea. So we had people from Kentucky and Rhode Island and Oklahoma, and where else did I see? Illinois, South Carolina, Maryland. So all kinds of people from all over the country joining us. Pennsylvania, yes, Philadelphia. So thank you so much for tuning in to get crafty with us today. It was really fun to see your smiling faces, fold paper. And if you guys have any other questions for Chelsea, throw them up in the chat real quick.
Yeah, just a little plug before we finish too. Like I said, I am from the Plains Art Museum, where I do teach other virtual and online classes for youth and adult. And I do have some upcoming youth origami classes that I'll be teaching along with other mediums, and some virtual origami classes that I'll be teaching over Zoom that we can ship supplies to other parts of the country if you sign up on time. You can always contact the Plains Art Museum if you have any questions about those. And so if you want more fun origami options, I'll be doing more in the future.
Awesome. That's great to know. Thank you so much, Chelsea. And thank you to the Plains Art Museum for sponsoring this class. That is so great. We love the Plains Art Museum in downtown Fargo. That's where this fest has been the past 9 years. So we miss being in the galleries with you. I have one other question in the chat. Is there a link to the Lily Steps for this session? We'll go for it.
I don't have a specific link, but the lily is a very common and well-used fold. So if you just look up origami lily, the instructions, the first one that comes up, I guarantee will probably be correct. As for a link to this session, I don't have that information. I'm sure that our partner Ashley would.
Yes, so Ashley has the link posted in the, so if you were on Facebook or Eventbrite that you found the link to get onto this video today, there was also a link to a live YouTube stream, and that link will be there and available right now. It's showing what you see right now, but after we end this meeting, it'll be available for the next week up on YouTube, so you can check it out there. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Check out the fest online tomorrow or come visit us at the West Acres Mall today.